Man, so much gaming news has been coming out here recently. It's like every single day, so much happens. And you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna have to just do multiple reaction videos in one video from now on, like it's a show. I guess this is my new show, Fables Folly Gaming News. Whatever, man, whatever. I'm completely out on it. I'm just like, it's like I'm mining for gold, you know, and I keep getting false gold. They keep trying to tell us, hey, check out this golden rod, this gold brick that I got here. You want it? And then I scratch it, and underneath the surface, it's just like a whole bunch of cheap metal with gold spray painted on the outside. That's what it is. It's fool's gold.
I had to take yesterday off, but there was something hilarious that happened, so we'll talk about that, at least briefly, in this video. And it all began with this Ghost of Yotei dev saying, I hope the shooter's name is Mario so that Luigi knows his bro got his back.
Dude, ever since the Charlie Kirk situation happened, the whole assassination and the left cheering for it, everything's been coming apart for these weirdos, for these fucking freaks.
The post was made shortly after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and is referencing Luigi Mangione, who assassinated Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, and essentially comparing...
Well, I guess kinda this is where it started. Dude, I made a video about the current assassination culture that the left has been cheering on, and it's absolutely disgusting. You should check it out. I got a link down there in the, not the description, the comments.
Luigi to Tyler Robinson, Kirk's killer, referred to in the post as the quote-unquote shooter, all making the implication that Drew is praising Kirk's killer. This didn't end up going so well, though, because that Ghost of Yotei dev, Drew, ended up getting fired for that comment, which Kotaku lamented, referring to it as just a joke, and going on to say Gamergate 2 is looking to cancel people in the wake of the assassination. You gotta love how, once again, corporate journos are trying desperately to bring back Gamergate, something that I've routinely laughed at over the months, or even like a few years now this has been going on. Also, don't...
Dude, like, since, what was it? Really heavy since 2014, 2012 is like kind of where it started, and it got real bad in 2016 all the way up until COVID happened, and then COVID made everything just explode and fall apart.
Kotaku corpo types constantly say things like freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences, but yet here they are trying to play victim. Anyways, that context takes us back over to Blue Sky, where...
It's funny how they tried to take everything from us, tried to steal everything from us and destroy it. And now that we're taking it back, they're shouting, free speech! You're taking all of the things that we love! And it's like, that's what you did to us first? Are you insane? Yeah, they are. They're insane, evil liars. They don't actually care. And all these games, they don't play them. They just pretend to play them.
Drew, just a few days ago, had a follow-up message saying, as it turns out, my joke didn't make the game do any worse. My firing didn't make...
Nobody gave Concord a chance! Well, neither did you. You didn't play it.
The game do any better. So really the only thing that the harassment campaign succeeded in was sucking all the joy out of my life. So I guess that's a dub. Also,
yeah, well, that's what you attempted to do to us. And now I am enjoying the downfall. I'm enjoying the crash out.
What's with that username? Like, punching Nazis till I die, said the person who's probably never punched a Nazi or really anything ever.
Except a pillow.
And then just yesterday, he posted Asmongold gloats over Sucker Punch employee being fired. Asmon goes on to laugh at how Drew got fired, even saying that he might make another video on Drew once Drew gets a new job to see if he can get Drew fired once again. As the saying goes, Drew was ultimately playing stupid games and then won a stupid prize. But of course, as we've seen, that won't stop these individuals from trying to have these double standards that allow them to paint themselves out as victims. But at least for those of us with common sense, we get to laugh at all this and use it as our entertainment. So yeah.
That's me! And dude, it gets worse than that. It gets so much worse.
Gentlemen, so today we are going to be talking about Ghost of Antifa again. And you're probably asking yourself, well, what is there to talk about when it comes to Ghost of Antifa? We've pretty much covered everything. Well, no, we have not. Because apparently IGN delivers.
Oh, we're not done. We're so not done. The coming weeks, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yet again, Ghost of Antifa, supposedly, according to IGN, because of course they are, is saying that it's being praised in Japan for how quintessentially...
I have friends in Japan. Everybody's shitting on this game.
Hokkaido, it actually feels. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. Now, listen, guys, before we start this video, there's a couple of things that I want to notate. The reason why they are trying to
Did you really say note, hey? Okay.
up Ghost of Antifa as being something that is loved by Japan is because they know that the Famitsu numbers is going to reveal literally everything about this game, this sequel, and how it cannot compare to Ghost of Tsushima. That even though it might be selling decent for a game in general, it is not selling anywhere close to what Ghost of Tsushima did, especially in Japan.
And it's really not selling as much as they thought it was gonna sell. Because I think from the conversations that I was seeing around it before this game came out, this was gonna be the top seller of the year, of all time, possibly.
We are going to be getting the Famitsu
10 out of 10,
numbers very
perfect game.
soon. Right now, this week's Famitsu numbers has just dropped, with Silent Hill F being at the top with 57,475 physical copies being sold in Japan.
And that's at the top. What? Okay. Sure. Well, that's just the physical numbers. People don't really buy physical copies of things. People are more likely to buy digital copies of things. I don't know anybody who still buys physical, actually, which is really sad. I've been on PC for years and years and years, so obviously I don't buy physical either.
If you guys don't remember, I will remind you, Ghost of Tsushima broke records in Japan for PlayStation, literal records. It got the best launch for a first-party PS4 game in launch week. How much did it sell? It sold 200.
Yeah, by the way, this was a PS4 game. Ghost of Yotei is a PS5 game, and it's barely better when it comes to people saying that it's better. I don't get it. We're a generation ahead of Ghost of Tsushima. What are we doing?
121,915 physical copies in its first week in Japan, comfortably surpassing the record that was previously held by Hideo Kojima himself.
Yeah, but Ghost of Yotei sold 1 million copies in one day.
With Death Stranding. Keep that in mind. Death Stranding, a game made by Hideo Kojima, who is notoriously loved in Japan, sold 185,909 copies in its launch week. Meanwhile, Ghost of Tsushima sold 221,000 copies in its launch week.
And apparently Ghost of Yotei blew that out of the fucking water. Both of them combined ×2.
It's massive, okay? So the reason why they want to get ahead of the curve with this particular story to try to make it seem as if Ghost of Antifa is loved in Japan is because they know that once these Famitsu numbers drop and it showcases Ghost of Antifa not being anywhere close to what Ghost of Tsushima did in its launch week, that's going to be true for everybody to see that this game, this sequel, even though it might be good to some people, and that's because it's basically a reskin Tsushima, so of course it's going to be good for some people, it is not going to be selling nowhere near as much as the first, proving that.
And this game, this Ghost of Yotei, and all the conversation around it and all the people who are glazing it, it's got me completely out on Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not even going to give it a try. I was eventually going to play it, but no, I'm out on it now.
That the franchise is actually falling off compared to the first game that everybody loved. And why is that important? Well, it's because they spent how many months, almost a year, gaslighting people, trying to tell people that, oh, Jinsakai story.
Dude, and they keep fucking doing it. I'm so sick of it, man.
That's done. Nobody cares about that. Now it's Atsu's time. Everybody loves Atsu. Everybody can't wait to play as Atsu. You got every single shill account on X talking about everything else.
And threads and Facebook, bro. You can't get away from it.
Talking about graphics except for anything else. They don't want to talk about the story, barely. They don't want to talk about the game.
Oh, Fables, why are you even on threads? Because I post everywhere, damn it. I don't actually scroll through there, but sometimes you have to.
Play, unless it has to do with mini games and cooking. Cooking fish apparently is a big deal now, where you use your controller to spin the fish. I mean, okay, I suppose, but other than that, they're not talking about anything, right? Except for graphics and cooking and mini games. So let's go over this article talking about Ghost of Antifa being praised in Japan for how quintessentially Hokkaido it feels.
Yeah, and it's just another one of those tragic stories. This one's a revenge story. You love revenge stories, don't you? And the character succeeds in the revenge and feels much better about it. That's not how real life works. You don't feel better after you get your vengeance. You feel worse because that's not actually what you needed to do to help yourself. And it's like another empowered woman story, grief-ridden.
So it says released in October, Ghost of Antifa is quickly garnering praise from Japanese gamers. Yeah, quickly garnering praise. What is it, like 2 or 3 tweets? I bet. How much you want to bet this article is going to reference like 2 or 3 tweets, and they're going to say all Japanese.
Dude, that's how it happens all the time. It's like he's making a prediction, but it's so predictable that there doesn't even need to be a prediction. That's what they're going to do.
These gamers are loving this thing. Bro, come on, man. Anyway.
Nope. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it there, right there at the end. One commenter
quickly garnering praise from Japanese gamers who are busy exploring Sucker Punch's depiction of the 1600s Japan. Its choice of setting, picturesque scenery, and expansive map seem to be resonating with local residents, with the developers receiving plaudits for the detailed research and sense of style. Sucker Punch, standalone sequel to 2020's award-winning Ghost of Tsushima, moves the action to Izo on Japan's northernmost main island of Hokkaido. You play as Atsu, a warrior on a quest to take vengeance. Okay, you basically play as Naoe, let's be real. You play as Naoe from Assassin's Creed Shadows, seeking vengeance because I'm Iga, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway.
They all come up with the same stories because they don't actually know how to write good stories.
In a follow-up post, they added that the developers' decision to choose Mount Yotei instead of Hokkaido's highest mountain, Daisetsuzan, makes so much sense as a person born and raised in Hokkaido. Mount Yotei isn't part of a mountain range. It stands alone, and that's what gives it its wow factor. The view from the mountain in game is also getting some love for being extremely beautiful, with one user sharing screenshots. Now, obviously, if you look at these pictures here, this is from a account that may or may not be Japanese at this point.
Yeah, that's another thing where it's like Japanese speaking commenters. Why didn't you say Japanese people? Why are you saying Japanese speaking? Because it could be anybody who's saying this, and it's so easy to just use Google Translate or any other translate. Not saying that's what's happening here. It's just like lies, man. It's an obvious lie.
We really don't know.
And manipulation.
Right now we have 1 or 2 posts so far, I guess. This is 2. Apparently, the first post is not found, so I guess the person must have deleted it or something. I don't really know. But you have this second post here showing screenshots, which, by the way, look almost identical to Ghost of Tsushima. So there's that. Sharing an in-game screenshot featuring Mount Yotei, another user commented, if I live in Izo, but Ghost of Yotei is way more quintessentially Hokkaido than I could have imagined, LOL. Whether it is the scale or not, the fact that the entire map is Hokkaido is deeply moving. Now, I wonder how they translated this. I guess they must have used the X translation feature, most likely. As a side note, map software company Zenrin got into the Ghost of Yotei spirit by sharing a real-life map of Izo on its official X account to mark the game's release. So this is about 4 posts so far. 4 posts. If you count the first one that got deleted, it's 3 posts, but now we're about to be at 4 posts. Although Atsu's story is serious, like in Ghost of Tsushima, the game also gives the player plenty of opportunities to explore the beautiful landscapes, relax in hot springs, and interact with local fauna, such as foxes.
That's not gameplay. That's not gameplay. You can do that in a VR simulation. What are we doing here? Like, you can do that on YouTube with the 360 video. What?
Many Japanese comments point out how cute these animals and their movements are.
Cute animal equal good game? I don't think so. That's fucking retarded.
Such as the fox's butt wiggle reaction to your attempts to slice through bamboo, bro.
That makes no sense.
I don't understand. Like, what is it with Ghost of Antifa, and all they're talking about is the graphics and the mini games. That's all they're talking about, bro. When you go on X,
and the cute little furry animals,
showcasing the fucking graphics, the screenshots. They're showcasing the goddamn bamboo slicing game as if this is the first game you've ever been able to slice bamboo in. I mean, did you not look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and the way that game was marketed? All they talked about was the bamboo slicing. You're a little bit late to the curve. Not only that, they're doing the cooking mini game where you're using the PS5 controller to like flip fish or something like that.
Dude, we're still doing this. We're still doing you use the controller and move it around. We did that with the PS3 and it was garbage. I hated every time a game did that where you had to use the controller for something. When instead of like actually just pressing the fucking buttons, you gotta to flip it over and shake it. Why?
And they're trying to pretend like this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, what about the story of the game, bro? Oh, I know why they're not talking about the story of the game.
Because it's trash.
Because apparently it has a Last of Us 2 ending. If you guys know exactly what I mean by that, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about without spoiling it for anybody watching this video. But the game has a Last of Us 2 ending, which, by the way, IGN openly complained about every game from PlayStation having the same exact story. They even complained about it, ironically. How hilarious is that? Anyway.
They didn't get into a lot of the actual problems either, though. They got into a bunch of the problems, but they didn't talk about the empowered woman story that's like, every time they put a woman in a game, they have to make it an empowered woman. All males are stupid and toxic.
Anyway, so let's scroll down. Again, a graphical post. Why am I not surprised? If it says, however, as cute as these animals might be, one user warned the players that petting foxes like Atsu can do is not a good idea in real life. As although it wasn't an issue in the 1600s, the foxes in Hokkaido nowadays carry the parasitic disease echinococosis, which can be passed to humans. Ghosts of Yotei's
I think it's echinococosis.
opening title movie, which follows Atsu riding through the landscape at speed, also gained much praise and shares, with one Japanese language comment going so far as to say, as expected, this game's opening movie has surpassed all others. Talking about the opening, another commenter added, you're galloping up the hill and then boom, Mount Yotei appears at its most beautiful. I take my hat off to the staff of Sucker Punch for their good taste and successful research. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. This whole comment seems highly suspicious. This whole thing seems like too good to be true. Mike?
Yeah, and like IGN, they present this comment, and then people read that, and they're like, huh, I guess that's true then. When really all they're doing is highlighting a comment, but then the people reading it are stupid and forget that it's just a comment. The IGN's not saying this.
I'm going crazy for thinking that. How it just seems like everything is perfectly aligned and saying just the right things to try to convince everybody that Japan is loving this game in every sense of the word. I don't know. It's like
my Japanese friends, because I'm in a lot of different Discords, man. But my Japanese friends in Japan, not in America, they think it's trash. And they also don't know anybody who's playing it. Most of them are playing Switch games, actually, to tell you the truth.
They don't realize that when they fake it, it's so obviously fake. They don't understand how to be good at it. They really suck at it, to be honest with you. They really know how to hit the right note for Japanese audiences. Others praise translation and voice acting aspects, saying that Ghosts of Antifa,
well, I guess that's better than Assassin's Creed Shadows,
has a perfect localization for Japan. Yeah, this game is highly AstroTurf, like to the maximum. During the making of Ghosts of Antifa, the developers took many research trips to Japan. Director Nate Fox previously talked about the team's commitment to creating a respectful representation of Japan.
Director Nate Fox? You mean the things that you can pet?
To match Sucker Punch's previous work on Ghosts of Tsushima. In fact, Fox...
Dude, I've had enough.
And Jason Connell
it's
were made
so
permanent tourism ambassadors to the real-life Tsushima in recognition of how Ghosts of Tsushima has spread awareness of the place. Listen, man, what I'm going to say is I just want to see those Famitsu numbers. That's all I want to do.
Yep.
I want to see the Famitsu numbers because that's going to tell me how Japan is actually reacting to this game. All right. Ghost of Tsushima did 221,000 physical copies in its first week at launch in Japan as a brand new IP. That means that if this game was highly loved in Japan, which it was because it beat Death Stranding of all games, which is a Hideo Kojima game, that tells me that this game should do gangbusters in Japan. That's what that tells me. Ghosts of Antifa.
And also, if it's selling that well in Japan, you'd think that it would translate to all the other countries. Nope, apparently not. Apparently it's just receiving astronomical numbers in Japan only.
Should do well over 200,000 copies physical in Japan. If it does not, that is going to tell me the true story of what people think about this game overall. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Ghosts of Antifa? Whether or not this game is actually loved by Japan?
I actually don't care about the game. I don't care. I'm not going to play it. I think the conversation around it is hilarious, and the amount of people that are doing the same things that they did with Dragon Age the Veilguard, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Avowed, The Outer Worlds 2, that is Outer Worlds 2 even out yet? No, I don't think so, because we'd be talking about it, and everybody would be lying about how great the game is. Nobody's talking about Avowed now. Nobody's talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Nobody's talking about any of these games. We've even forgotten about Assassin's Creed Shadows. The only time I ever hear it is whenever people compare the conversation around a game to the conversation of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Otherwise, nobody's talking about it. We're going to move on to The Witcher Season 4 trailer just dropped, and it's obliterated. This shit needs canceled ASAP. I don't think it needs to be canceled. I think it should come out, but holy shit, what is this? What is happening, man?
Of The Witcher Season 4? What in the fuck were they thinking? How in the
What were they thinking?
flying hell is this appealing to any audience?
What if I can't save her?
Trust me, dude, you can't.
It's so bad, dude.
What is up, Space Pirate?
I wanted to go back and play The Witcher 1, 2, and 3. I don't think I can anymore. Because I'm like soured on the series.
This is your Admiral, the obviously awesome Dr. Disaster. And as if you didn't have enough of a reason to not spend your money on Netflix, The Witcher Season 4...
I've been out since Cuties, and I've never been more out than I am now.
Just put out their full official trailer, and holy crap, it looks bad.
And by the way, at this point, if you're still paying for Netflix and you know all this pedo content is on there, then you are a pedo supporter. I'm sorry. I'm fucking tired of pedo apologists.
Let's fucking move!
No, 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 no!
That is not how Geralt speaks. It's bad enough that they replace...
It is now. I think there's more of this now than there is of the old Geralt, so it is now. That's what it is. It's just like Star Wars. It's like there's some good Star Wars stuff, but most of it's trash, so Star Wars is trash.
Placed Henry Cavill with Liam Hemsworth that was always going to alienate people and make Geralt seem like a completely different character, but it looks like they've changed the writing for him as well so that he sounds like a friggin' cowboy or something, and that is simply unacceptable. It's almost as bad as Netflix giving Sam Fisher in Splinter Cell Deathwatch a freaking man bun.
What is that?
To top it all off, this is an image
I didn't even know that was a thing. What the fuck?
from the Witcher trailer showing a little army of people that are joining Geralt on his quests to reclaim the continent. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, this looks pretty damn close to this here. This is the image of the cast of the Seven Dwarves, which the image came out a few years ago from the production of Rachel Zegler's Snow White, and it looked so bad and was made fun of so universally that Disney eventually scrapped the cast and went full digital on the dwarves. This group here has the same energy all the way, except it's too late for Netflix to change anything. Fans of the series are left just looking at all the images from this trailer.
They're fans of this series? What? Where? I haven't seen anybody talk about this.
Or going,
Crap, mega crap.
and that is why they have been ratioed once again. I kinda thought that the teaser trailer a few weeks ago, which was badly ratioed, would get the negativity out of everybody's system, and then maybe the diehards would remain, and the new trailers would do alright, but I guess I was wrong. This thing has about 460,000 views in about 21 hours at the time of this recording, and they have already been ratioed at a factor of over 2 to 1 with...
I wonder how many likes they got immediately. That's very strange how that always happens.
13,000 likes to 31,000 dislikes.
I think they probably got about 6,000 likes as soon as the video dropped.
I guess pretty much all the people who were fans of the franchise have noticed what Netflix has done to us all, and we're all thinking the same thing.
I think even during the first season that there were people that were wanting to be fans, because I was seeing people bitching about it constantly whenever it came out and before it came out, who were like actual Witcher fans, like fans of the Witcher series, like the video games and the books, and they were like, what is this? What is this trash? And it just keeps getting worse.
I offered you friendship, and you spat in my face.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel, so make sure you check on that, and also, give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster1, and if you feel like supporting the channel and helping to keep the lights on, consider becoming a member for as little as $5 per month. But anyhow, let's talk about the reception to this awful official trailer for Season 4 of The Witcher. One thing that I find very interesting, which is very telling about this whole Witcher debacle, is the fact that it was recently revealed at the Netflix To Doom event earlier this year that Liam Hemsworth...
He looks like... Hold on. He looks like a Raiden knockoff. I'm sorry that this was Reddit. I just clicked on the image on Bing Images and it went straight to Reddit. But yeah, he looks like a Raiden knockoff from the Mortal Kombat 1 movie. The original movie from the 90s.
Hemsworth was apparently called about taking over the role of Geralt from Henry Cavill all the way back in 2020.
Why would you take that deal? Are you really that desperate for a role?
Which is a year before Season 2 even aired. So, that goes to show you how Cavill, who is notorious for wanting a show to remain true to its source material, that goes to show you how long Cavill was at odds with the makers of this turd of a show.
Yeah, I'm glad that he just was out on it. And I'm glad we haven't seen something from Warhammer, honestly. I wish we would, but I think that it would get fucked up and they would replace Henry Cavill.
You are genuinely a fan of the books and the game and everything. Apparently, on set, you know more than anyone else.
I wouldn't necessarily say anyone else, but I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Apparently, Henry Cavill read the script for the second season and went, hell no, I don't think so, echoing exactly what the fans thought when we finally saw it. But let's take a look at what people were saying about this awful looking trailer for Season 4 of the show. The comment section was rough for Netflix, as you can imagine. This guy here...
Remember, guys, it's not Liam's fault. It's the producers. It's partially his fault for taking the role and allowing himself to be dumbed down that much. And I think that it's going to be a mark on his resume that people are going to look at and be like, well, that was trash.
Got nearly half the likes that the whole trailer itself got, saying, remember guys, it's not Liam's fault, it's the producers. And while I generally agree with that statement, the producers and writers for this show deserve the lion's share of the blame for the way that this crap turned out. I will say this. Liam is a big boy who knew what he was getting into when he signed on to replace a beloved actor in a beloved role.
They should have made it Pedro Pascal. And people probably would have watched it just because it was Pedro Pascal and would have glazed it because of Pedro Pascal, because that's what they keep doing with this guy.
Not only that, but if it's true that he was actually talking with Netflix all the way back in 2020 about the role, then that tells me that he knows all about the reasons as to why Cavill was being removed from the show, and that tells me he cares very little himself about the fidelity of the story to the original writing. That tells me that he's just a guy willing to do whatever it takes to get a paycheck in this industry. On the one hand, I get it. A guy's gotta work, he's gotta put food on the table, but on the other hand, this does not absolve him of being a useful tool for these Netflix nincompoops. Anyhow, then this person here wrote as a response to this trailer in the comment section, Henry Cavill would not have left The Witcher's cast if the producers had stuck to the books. Henry has stated unequivocally that he enjoys the series and wishes for it to continue in the same vein as the original story. The producers are solely responsible for Henry Cavill's departure from the show. Let's effing move. That's pretty much not how I remember Geralt. No, that's not how anyone remembers him at all, and what makes it even worse is that of all the seasons of this show, apparently this one cost the most. Think about the faith that Netflix must have still had in the show. How is it possible for a company...
Yeah, they probably were like, well, this season's gonna be trash. So far it's seeming like trash, so we're gonna have to dump a whole bunch of money in it to make it better. And that's not how it works. These people are retarded, and they keep doing that with everything. It's like, well, the only way to make it better at this point is just dump a whole bunch of money into it, and it makes it worse.
To be this out of touch with its audience. According to recent
And out of touch with reality.
reports, Netflix spent right about $220 million on the making of this 4th season of The Witcher, and considering that the show has only 8...
Bro, you just have to film it in the woods. You're filming it in the woods. How is this $300 million?
episodes in this season. That means that each episode comes out to $27.5 million to have made. That is staggering. When
you're filming in the woods. The fuck?
You consider how absolutely terrible it looks and how they were ratioed once again in less than a day. And
what was it? Just not in the woods? Were they like in a building with a green screen? Is that what happened?
Keep in mind that that's only the feedback from the people who are still invested enough in the show to even bother clicking the video and hitting that dislike button.
They're not going to make their money back. What?
Views on this trailer are atrocious when compared to what we saw for previous seasons. After almost a day, they haven't even hit 500,000 views on this trailer. But look at this trailer here from a couple of years ago, and you can see a massive difference. This is the official trailer for Season 3, and it was also ratioed, though nowhere near as badly as the most recent trailer, but...
Yep, it gets worse and worse and worse. And I said it was going to happen. If they didn't cancel this, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. That's how it usually goes.
At the view count on this one, they hit 13...
How did we save this show? Rewrite everything, change everything.
Million views. Now, obviously, this newest trailer is going to keep racking up some views over the next week or so, but at this rate, they won't come anywhere near the views of last season's trailer. Hell, they will be lucky to hit 2 million at the way that this is going, and that is a massive drop-off in interest. That is 11 million fewer people who watch this trailer. And
dude, that's so fucking insane. Well, The Witcher's fucked. I wonder what The Witcher 4 has got to say. Well, I guess we'll see that in the future. But right now, we're going to talk about Bethesda. Ex-Bethesda boss slams Xbox Game Pass and modern Bethesda.
Is being pulled back. A realization is setting in of the threat that Xbox Game Pass poses to the long-term health, value, and independence of the gaming industry itself. The best deal in gaming is no more.
I wonder how many hundreds of $1 million they're going to spend, or have spent already, on the new Elder Scrolls game and the new Fallout game.
And has many reflecting on the dangers of renting rather than owning games on what is now viewed as an unaffordable...
Yeah, and then they're just going to release it for free on Game Pass and not make their money back, and it's going to really fucking hurt.
Overpriced option. The burden, unfortunately, has been passed on to consumers, following the $70 billion merger of Activision Blizzard King that has put Xbox in a terrible position. They are feeling the pressure from their corporate...
You know what happens with new games on Game Pass also? So if you're paying for Game Pass and you're not paying for the game that you're playing, you end up encountering something that you don't like about the game, and it immediately puts you out because you're like, well, I didn't spend full price on this game. I'm only paying for Game Pass. I'm not going to continue this because this one thing upset me. Like, if you paid $60, $70, whatever it is, I wouldn't pay that. But if you paid that, and you encounter something that you don't like, you're like, well, I paid all this money for it. I'm not going to quit now.
Corporate overlords Microsoft, who have been dissatisfied by the lack of growth that was originally envisioned by the deal, thus leading to the last few years of chaos and change with this brand. Change that has targeted both consumers and developers. The latter, though, is what I really want to focus on, because there is nuance to this conversation surrounding Game Pass.
Bro, don't even get me started on Halo.
And the relationship of developers with the service. Like, it probably doesn't come as a surprise that feelings about the service have been extremely mixed. Now, Xbox and their messaging that they've been giving out in certain interviews and such over the years.
If the next Halo comes out and it's trash, then officially over half, I think it is over half, right? No, it's not. It's not yet. over half of the mainline Halo games will be trash. How about that? Well, at least compared to the original 3. 4 if you want to count ODST.
Years may make you think otherwise. Just like last week, Sarah Bond, the Xbox president, was asked about how viable Game
I guess you can count Halo Reach also, even though that one was weird and kind of Call of Duty-fied.
Pass was as a business, and she spoke about how it was good for creators. This was right before the massive...
But also, I'm still talking about Halo Reach, I'm sorry. Also, Halo Reach was not a mainline game. I count that one more as like a Halo 3 ODST type game.
Changes hit for the service. I assume these are things that she had to have known were coming. Regardless, though, at the Tokyo Game Show, she responded to this, saying that in the last fiscal year, Xbox Game Pass took in $5 billion in revenue, saying that it's a profitable business, and as more creators join Xbox Game Pass, payments to creators increase, so we think it's a good business for creators.
It's not profitable enough to make up for the losses they have in other places. They don't tell you about that.
Now, Phil Spencer has been singing the same tune over the years. Back in February of the same year, he said Xbox Game Pass helps smaller single-player games. They just want to tell their story. One thing is undeniable. Xbox Game Pass...
Yeah, shows south of midnight. Okay.
Allows more eyes to be found on games that otherwise probably wouldn't get that same attention. That is the good of the service. That is undeniable. Nobody is arguing about that. We've even seen many other developers speak about that in that same light, such as the director of Lies of P. He said that being included in Game Pass helped the game reach a larger player base. He called Game Pass one of the best options for us to get the game into hands of a large community of players. Even a couple of years ago, Senior Vice President at Sega Europe spoke about how the company was really happy with the results from putting games on Game Pass, and they specifically cited a smaller experience called 2 Point Hospital that pushed the game to over 3 million players worldwide thanks to Game Pass. Now that's the good, but the thing is, that is just one side of the business, and the other sides, unfortunately, things have just been getting a lot worse over time, and many developers within this industry are starting to speak up. More specifically, though, we just heard this as of late, Xbox Game Pass indie deals have come down in scope, claimed devs. This was from last year, in which Darkest Dungeon director Chris Barassa said that Epic and...
Yeah, probably because people play them one time and then never pick them back up again, unlike if they would have bought them. Then they will eventually replay them. Not on Game Pass, there's just too much. There's too many things to get into. So over time, of course, Xbox is going to be like, well, they're not making as much as I thought. People aren't playing as much as I thought. So we're not going to give you as good deals.
Microsoft's offers for indie titles have come down in scope in recent times, with the scale of deals no longer like the big swinging days. The gold rush is over. I come from the Northwest Territories. The town I'm from was built on gold, and then they found diamonds further north. Maybe another paradigm shift is waiting for us, but I definitely think the scale of the deals I'm hearing about is significantly diminished from the big swinging days. Certainly, we got our Epic deal at the right time. The co-founder of Slay the Spire studio, Mega Crit, also summed up how dire the situation is for indie teams in general right now. According to some recent conversations at GDC, I talked to at least 5 small teams, like 35 members and under, and they're like, cuts, funding canceled, talks that were going on for a year canceled. We're definitely very privileged to be able to self-fund, otherwise I'd be very, very scared right now. And that ultimately is a reflection of the post-pandemic environment within the video game industry, in which during the pandemic, many development teams, many companies went overboard with spending and investments in the gaming industry.
Man, I hate how he's showing Forza, because they removed my favorite Forza game from sale. You can't buy it, can't get it anywhere. Go ahead, try. Forza Horizon 4, gone. Because of music licenses. And the same thing's going to happen to Forza 5, Forza 6, it's going to happen to all of them.
History, but things have dried up since then. Now, without a doubt, one of the biggest condemnations of Game Pass actually came this summer, and it's from a developer that launched one of their games day and date on Game Pass this year, Revenge of the Savage Planet, coming from studio head Alex Hutchinson, who is known for being the game director behind games such as Far Cry 4 and Assassin's Creed 3. His indie studio, though, Raccoon Logic, launched Revenge of the Savage Planet on Xbox Game Pass in May, becoming available to subscribers players on day one. And he said while the initial influx of cash was useful, it has generally, though, gone on to hurt sales and revenue.
How
the developer
about that?
originally made the Game Pass agreement with Microsoft in the hopes that it would get the game in front of more people who would in turn feel motivated to purchase DLC or recommend the game to friends. Revenge of the Savage Planet launched with one DLC pack, but so far, he says, Raccoon, the studio, has not seen the levels of interest it had hoped for. Now, this is where he really picks things up. Hutchinson said the whole industry should agree to only allow games on subscription services a year after release. The current structure will prove very damaging to anyone who's not owned by publishers soon if it continues. Hutchinson said Nintendo stands alone with respect to retaining the value of games. Everyone except Nintendo is also in a race to value content at zero, which will end in tears.
Yeah.
It must be mentioned, however, that Phil Spencer of Xbox years ago rejected this narrative outright. He specifically said that Game Pass actually leads to more sales. In a video interview with LevelUp.com at the time, he said when you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass, you instantly have more players of the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game. You say, well, isn't every...
That's hilarious, because they removed Forza Horizon 4 from sale.
Everyone just going to subscribe for $10, I miss those times, and go play this thing, but no, gamers find things to go play based on what everyone else is playing. The problem is...
Yeah, you see it sell really well the month that it launched on Game Pass, but they don't say months, they don't say years. No, initially, yeah, it'll boost the sales, but then people don't, they just don't.
Data and everything that has come about in recent years totally destroys that narrative. Even Microsoft and court documents have admitted that sales have been hurt by Game Pass. This was actually something that was said to the UK.
It's funny that they lie to the public, but you're not allowed to lie to Congress. You're not allowed to lie to the government who are investigating you. Like, why are they just allowed to outright lie to everybody and manipulate? It's fucking disgusting.
Competition and Markets Authority, Microsoft submitted that its internal analysis shows that a redacted percentage decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass. And elsewhere in the report, it was actually noted that Activision, before being purchased by Microsoft, even they themselves had a dim view on putting its titles into multi-game subscription services on any platform, believing that severely cannibalizes buy-to-play sales, particularly in the case of newer releases. And earlier this year, games analyst Chris String...
Yeah, instead of going out and buying the game because you have FOMO, you got that fear of missing out, it's on Game Pass that you're already paying for. You might as well go ahead and play it.
Added to this perspective, saying that Xbox Game Pass titles can face huge loss of premium sales. Dring says that the
yeah, why would anybody buy a game if they've got it on Game Pass?
Figure thrown around suggests that up to 80% of a game's expected premium sales can be lost when the title is available through Xbox Game Pass. This can also potentially impact a game's placement on sales charts, with Dring pointing to recent titles like Hellblade 2 not selling as well as some believed it would, despite still being played by many. So now I think you get an understanding that the feelings surrounding Game Pass have been mixed for a while now. And it really has only taken the recent events surrounding this brand to get...
I've known that it was bad since the beginning.
More individuals that work in this industry to speak up, and the dangers that they feel is coming from supporting and allowing a service like Game Pass to exist.
And I hear a lot of people say, like, well, it's great for consumers, but bad for business. I don't even think it's great for consumers. Because if you're in shitifying games because they're on Game Pass and you're losing money, that means that you're not putting as much into the games that you should be making amazing, trying to sell to people. Instead, you're just in shitifying them and making them just good enough for people to check out on Game Pass.
Exist and to continue to swallow up more and more gamers who have a different view of the video game industry and what's worth spending money on and what's worth not spending money on. Without a doubt, though, over the years, Xbox...
The price that people pay for Game Pass is the price that I pay monthly for multiple games from like GOG and Steam. $30 a month? I don't pay that. I ain't paying $30 for games. I'll pay $20. But I'm not paying $20 for Game Pass. I'm not even going to pay $10 for Game Pass, if you want me to be honest. I'd rather put $10 toward games that I would like to play now, tomorrow, and forever.
Xbox tried and they successfully established themselves as almost saviors of the video game industry. They just want to make great games.
That's
they have
funny.
a massive wallet. They can invest and make studios and allow studios to flourish, focus on creativity. This was one of the big things that Phil Spencer talked about when they acquired Bethesda, and even with Activision Blizzard, they were talking about all the cool things that they could do that wasn't possible under the previous leadership.
Yeah, I thought when they acquired Bethesda that we'd be getting a whole bunch of Bethesda games again. That's not happening. But way back when, we used to get so many Bethesda games. I'm playing games that I didn't even know were Bethesda games that I got from years ago. Like Dishonored, Bethesda game. I knew that was a Bethesda game. We got Doom. We got, let's see. The Evil Within. Isn't that a Bethesda game? Prey. Dude, we used to get so many Bethesda games. Now there's nothing.
Activision doesn't have to focus just on Call of Duty. Maybe the franchise...
I mean, we got Oblivion, I guess. But that's not a new game.
Doesn't even have to have annual releases. Phil Spencer teased that maybe a Hexen can be revived. There was all of these cool ideas that almost immediately got flushed down the toilet, and the earliest indication of this came when the cuts began to happen. And this was in early 2024, in which about 2,000 jobs were lost across Xbox, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard.
Dude, we're gonna see so many more layoffs. So many more, and like at the beginning of next year, it's going to be real bad.
We have made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce.
And it's going to be reduced even further.
Followed, unfortunately, was even more layoffs, all leading to what happened over this last summer, and it was the fact that cuts at King, Turn 10, ZeniMax Media, and many more happened. The initiative was shut down.
They spent a whole bunch of money to rebrand 343 as Halo Studios, and then they changed nothing. Except for they turned Halo to the Unreal Engine. And they're going to have to spend a whole bunch of money just to fix it because it's not going to be optimized correctly when it comes out. Because that happens to every single Unreal Engine game. Even games that have always been on Unreal Engine, like Borderlands.
Perfect Dark was canceled, Rare's Everwild also got canceled, and a number of other games. We even saw developers speaking up, in which many of them talked about living in fear of mass layoffs, and all indication is that further layoffs are going to be hitting in 2026, and that is because Xbox is an unhealthy business. All of the leaks, all of the indication from insiders is that that $70 billion merger has truly tanked Xbox at the worst time, because Microsoft doesn't care about the gaming business as much as they did, because their focus is on AI, a costly venture.
Yeah, and also they kind of just don't get it, because how old do you think this guy is? How old do you think he is? How old, if you look at all of the people who are making the games, how old do you think they are? That most of them look like they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're out of touch, and they're stuck on social media and politics.
One that makes Microsoft less patient with their gaming arm, considering the massive investment they already have made into it. That pressure is being felt, and it's legitimately...
This is what happens when you get a whole bunch of people who don't actually play the real games.
Creativity. It's why a game like Hi-Fi Rush could be a success, but still not good enough.
Yep.
And eventually the studio responsible shut down and sold off.
How about that?
The focus has quickly shifted back to the home run franchises, Call of Duty, Minecraft. Think games like that, instead of trying bold new things. Everwild was something Phil Spencer believed in. He said he was excited for it, despite its development turmoil. And said
it's weird that they put more focus on Minecraft. Like, I bought Minecraft 10 years ago. Like, I'm not paying more money into Minecraft. But what are you doing?
Earlier this year, he wanted to let Rare cook until I guess he didn't. But then there's also MMO developer ZeniMax Online Studios, known for their work on ESO, who had for years been working on a brand new IP until, again, they were not, as their project Blackbird was reportedly canceled over the summer. And the responses to this cancellation was absolute devastation for the developers that were working on this experience. We had headlines such as this: ZeniMax staff lambast chaotic layoffs. It's difficult to work when you're looking at a graveyard. We also saw ESO devs reacting to some of the emails that they were getting from Microsoft leadership, some wondering how could a carcass of workers, how are they supposed to keep shipping award-winning games? I don't care how many times they do it to try and make it seem normal. it's not. And some also brought up the fact that Phil Spencer supposedly loved the game. He loved the game that they're putting together, and they said that a future has been stolen from many of us and our community will never experience an amazing game. All of this creates a negative image about Xbox. It shows the dangers of being attached to a trillion-dollar company that has no care in the world for this gaming industry or about creativity, innovation, or art, or any of that. They care about money.
Dude, I seriously had somebody down in the comments being like, oh, the profits of the gaming industry. For one, the gaming industry, there's more players in it. There's more companies in it than ever before. So, of course, the gaming industry as a whole is going to be generating more money than ever before, especially since inflation is the most that it's ever been. Things cost the most that they've ever cost. And they're also spending the most that they've ever spent. It's so crazy that people are like defending this. And I'm just saying, the 90s called, the 90s corporations called. They want their businesses back. Because guess what? Most of them don't exist anymore. And the ones that did were small players back then and just happened to catch on to what that was happening with the Switch, with like the .com bubble and whatnot. And I think we're about to hit another similar thing because of AI. I think AI is going to make the bottom fall out and we're just going to start going down the drain. Headed straight for the fucking sewers.
That is their sole focus. And specifically with Bethesda Softworks, they have been especially harmed by Microsoft in their decision-making. Last year, we saw the shuttering of multiple Bethesda studios. Arcane Austin, best known for their work on Prey, they were shut down. Alpha Dog Studios, shut down. Tango Gameworks, known for The Evil Within, Hi-Fi Rush, shut down. And Roundhouse Games was thrown in a support role to work on The Elder Scrolls Online. And speaking of ZeniMax Online Studios, their Destiny-style new IP shooter shut down and mass layoffs hit the studio. And all of this has gotten the attention of former Bethesda Vice President Pete Hines, who was at the company for 24 years and only recently retired. And he had a lot to say about how Xbox is running the company and also about Game Pass. Now, this interview with Hines, coming from Double Tap, goes extensively over his entire career. He talks about his early days, he talks about his relationship with Todd Howard, and a lot more. He also talks about some of his greatest regrets, one of which is something that we talked extensively on the channel about years ago, and that is the Fallout 76 Collector's Edition and the controversy that was associated with
absolute disaster. Canvas bags that ended up being nylon bags.
That because
and also the helmets were just cheap crap.
Sold a nylon bag with it instead of the canvas bag that was advertised. Hines says in
don't forget about the helmet, man, because people were complaining about how cheaply made the helmet was.
This interview that his reaction was, when the F did we add a canvas bag to this collector's edition? He goes on to mention that he's still annoyed that the damn thing was there in the first place and nobody had told him that at the time that there was a canvas shortage that happened, and there was just a lot of communication issues that had happened with that. He also spoke about his regret with calling 2017's Prey that name. Don't even get me started on that. I definitely pissed some people off internally over that name. I fought so hard against using that name. He disagreed, but others wanted the name and they got their way. Although, in time, now, I do agree with him. It was a mistake. Many still remembered the original game that had zero relationship to the 2017 game and were never able to separate the two. But that was the old independent Bethesda, their history, which came with its good and bad. And this history, this old Bethesda, is something that Pete Hines does reflect on in this interview and talks about how times have changed. It was Robert Altman's company, and we were his employees.
But they haven't really changed that much. The times have changed in ways that people are going back and playing retro games more and more. People are going back and they're playing old indie games that they missed, and new indie games and AA games that have been pushed out of the market.
No question, but he treated us more like family, and we found a culture that...
Oh, he treated us more like family! You're at work. You're not a fucking family. You are co-workers. Do your job. Make the games. Like, I've worked at so many factories that completely shit the bed because they were like, oh, we're a family here.
that really fit us. When it was working, it was magical. We were a small private company. It's way easier to stay out of scrutiny when you're not having to put your earnings reports out for the whole world. There's just no question that the company is not the same. It has been radically changed and altered from the company that we built. It is what it is. Things change, things move on, but at its height, it was really a special thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I think it's dead. I think that whole family culture got too big and too fake and too prominent. And it's like, oh well. Oh well. So gaming's not going away. Gaming is not going away. But AAA gaming, at least the current AAA market, is completely fucked, dude. It's completely fucked. That's where I'm going to leave this video. If you want to check out any of these videos, I got them linked down there in the description. You know what else I got linked down there in the description? I got my PayPal if you'd like to donate. We're having a rough time here, man. I'm okay, but like, things are getting hard. Getting real hard. And we're under attack by demons. So if you'd like to donate, I'd very, very much appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.